Hello, everyone. This is another Freedom to Feel conversation, and my guest today is Dr. Cody Golman. Cody is a healer, entrepreneur, professional speaker, and the author of Four Secrets to Healthy Weight Loss, a doctor developed and patient proven formula to burn fat and maintain a naturally healthy body. So, this is his latest book. But we'll be talking about a lot more than that, as you know, me with my questions. So, I guess the first question that comes to mind is what inspired you to do what you're doing today, Cody?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. And let's see, specifically what inspired me, I'll say this weight loss company called the company's called the Fast 40. I never had an interest in helping people lose weight, not one interest. I've built multiple companies. I've had a chiropractic office. I have a business on Amazon, coaching companies. But over the last 4 years, I've always been very spiritually focused.
Yeah.
In the last 4 or 5 years, I've allowed life. I shouldn't say allowed. I've conceded to life guiding me instead of me trying to figure out what things that I'm going to create.
Right.
So to really answer the question truly is the weight loss company came from life telling me that this is what was next for me. And that's the true answer.
Yeah.
Um, Most humans don't like that answer because you want to go, how do you figure out what you do and the stuff? So, but the truth is that if you listen to what life wants you to build, it'll always be better. And I'm talking about your career, your relationships, your business, your money. It'll always be better than what your tiny little mind can imagine.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
never could I have imagined weight
Mm,
loss at all. But that's what came about. And of course, I was a chiropractor for I had an office for 15, 16 years, and I had to help people from digestive cancers, diabetic conditions, sickle cell anemia, AIDS, all kinds of stuff. But we did start helping people lose weight because my patients were doing these unhealthy weight loss programs
yeah.
like Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, calorie counting, paleo, keto, fad diets. 80% of American diets, 80% fail. This is not my statistic. This is an American statistic. So if you're going to do a diet, you have an 80% chance you're going to gain the weight back. So that was not okay with me. And that's where it started coming about, and life started showing me it wanted me to do this. And so since I've sold the chiropractic office, I don't do that anymore. I'm able to do this virtually with people. And I had people started calling and asking me to do it. So I would go, okay, life wants me to do this. I get it.
Yes. I love that. Is that your idea of spirituality? Being guided by life, listening to our intuition?
Well, it's kind of a loaded question if you really want to go there with me.
Yeah. I would love to.
I don't know
Yes.
if you want to go there with me, but I've studied 7 major religions. So, I can tell you what I have perceived not spirituality. Um, Spirituality, just like the physical construct, the mental
Mm,
construct, the emotional construct, is simply a construct, meaning it is a construct created by humans to try to figure out what the universal is. So, I find it very funny when we talk about spirituality, because if you talk to a Christian or a Buddhist, they'll give you the depiction of spirituality,
yes.
and which some of them tell you it's going to reach God and God is all good. No, God is not all good. Every major religion tells you God's not all good. Even God and your prophets say God's not all good. It says God is both good and bad. I created heaven and hell.
Uh,
So that's how when I look at spirituality, it's so funny to see that spirituality is constructed by a human mind to try to conceive of something that's inconceivable.
wow. Yes, that very much resonates with me. Yes,
I've
we are
had a lot.
trying to understand something with the mind that we cannot even put into words. Right,
Sure,
right.
sure.
But I love concepts, and I know they sound very abstract sometimes, but I hold them very sacred for some reason. Concepts like love, for example, sound spiritual to me. The idea of inner peace, of being guided by life as you speak, to me, if I could define spirituality, try to describe it, those pieces will be in there, like love, compassion, kindness, intuition. But yes, that's so true. We are trying to, yeah, to understand something that we can't really, um, not entirely.
If we were to really break it down too, the
Yeah.
only difference from spirituality, and physicality is a rate of vibration. That's the only difference. The only difference between um, heat and light is a difference in rate of vibration. So that's really the difference between the mind and matter
Yeah.
is only a difference in rate of vibration. It's all frequency. So it just this is just a little bit of concepts to help people understand just the framework that I'm speaking in. It really will break people outside of what they have perceived God or the universal to be.
Mm.
It's so much bigger than we can imagine, and it's been said in many works. The finite mind cannot comprehend the infinite, and boy, did I find that's true. My tiny mind cannot comprehend what this thing really is.
Yes. There is, I'm a student of Vedanta. It's Hindu Indian philosophy. I'm not sure if you heard about it. It's Advaita Vedanta, it's non-duality. To me, they really come very close. For some reason, resonates with me with the truth that have found naturally.
Mm,
My truth, in a sense of the observer, being the witness of this experience, not being really the mind or body, but there's something
yeah.
that overarches this whole thing that we might call it God. But there's something here that's non-physical and that gives rise to the physical, or at least it's very much interconnected and aware of what's happening with the physical world.
Um, well, give me the premise of what you're saying, the Dante's Hindu. Give me the premise of it.
Yeah, basically, it's very simple. It's non-dual means one reality. So it's non-duality. Basically, it's just that there is one reality. All the other realities that we perceive, it's not that they are not real, it's that they are lower realities. It's like dreaming, having a dream at night. And then we believe that, I mean, as long as the dream lasts, it's true, isn't it? It's real. If we just get stuck there and never wake up, that's our reality that we'll be living now and believing that is true. The most, let's say, the higher reality would be of a dream would be that we are sleeping in bed, that we are there's something that's holding, there's a mind that's holding that dream. So the mind is the higher reality in a dream reality. So this, they explain that this, what's happening here, it's the lower reality. And the higher reality, it's pure consciousness, which would be God. Basically everything, it's not that everything is God, but everything is in God. So I mean, God is it's a very religious idea, but I usually don't talk that way. But today I'm using freely these days. So basically, everything is God. There's nothing that's not.
The principles you're talking about were written long before um, five. Let's see. There's a Greek god, uh, um, and who is originally a Egyptian god, more than 5,000 years ago, before a lot of our religions were even written. His name was Thoth,
Yeah.
and he wrote what's called, they called him Hermes in Greek, but they wrote what's called Hermetic philosophy. And those universal principles were what I think were the closest for people to really understand
Mm.
what reality is and what it's not. One of the principles is the principle of the one and the many. And basically, the one and the many is that there is one energy and it's dispersed into many forms. But in that principle, it's important to understand that the many need the one and the one need the many.
Mm.
And any universal principle that expresses universally must express individually. For example, let's say you experience one person. I'll see this with people. They got one person in their life, a man or a woman, and let's say that person dies.
Yeah.
Okay, well they'll go, "Oh my God, I lost this person." But if they actually take a look at it, that one person and traits and characteristic are dispersed amongst many. That's the universal principle expressing an individuality.
Yeah. That that makes sense to me, of course. Yeah, that resonates true, but it's not something that I'm for some reason not focused on because that's like the after after matter. I kind of tend to be present, and the way it helps me, this philosophy, this idea concept that I love, that if everything is comes from the one and everything is interconnected, basically the essence of God, of pure consciousness everywhere, then it's easier to be kind, to be compassionate, to kind of connect with others. It's so much easier that way. I mean, for me, it has been. It kind of the heart opens. Like, how can I be unkind to anything or anyone? because everything is that essence that's here, it's everywhere. So that's how it helps me, and I think it would help humanity as a whole.
Valeria, I'd like to drop something on you that
Yes, yes,
that you may disagree with and worth your hearing.
yes, yes.
It is a total fantasy that you're going to show up kind to people.
Mm.
It's not possible. And the reason why, you're going to show up both equally kind and unkind. This is the framework of our reality. The framework of reality has every single subatomic particle is in equal balance. It has just as many negatives as positives.
Mm.
Being kind to someone has just as many drawbacks as benefits. Being mean to someone has just as many benefits and drawbacks. So I'd like to just point that out to you because one of the things that I coach people on, and you can see in that last chapter, the emotional rewire,
Yeah,
is people
yeah.
start building the fantasy that they're going to be good people. That is a 100% legit fantasy. Self-development books have perpetuated this fantasy. This is why people go, "How come bad things happen to good people? How come I've been a good person?" The more good you try to be, the more bad you'll attract in your life.
Oh.
Very, very important people understand this, and people are hearing this. You will notice this. The more infatuated you are with being a good person, the more bad you will attract. The more bad people and the more bad situations. And why? It's so you can get good off a pedestal. Good is not better than bad. That's the illusion. That's the illusion of physicality that you were talking about.
Mm.
Good and bad are illusions. So you being good is an illusion. So you're just basically asking to have more illusion. So part of what I'm talking to you about is to bring you back into the reality. And the reality you talked about was non-dualistic.
Yeah.
You're trying to be good, you're trying to be dual, you're literally trying to be polarized. Polarization will charge you to bring in the opposite. Non-duality doesn't have good in it.
Mm. Ah, this is very insightful. You see, I'm very open to all kinds of conversation. That's what I live for. Paradoxes. I mean, just holding them.
Right, right, right.
Yes, absolutely. Everything. I mean, it is. Yeah, it's just everything is. You can't really choose sides. I think we're using words, and the word kind, it really comes from. I guess it used to be like a desire, something that I was striving to be. Women usually we are raised that way, we smile all the time, be nice. um, so it is a reality that I have embraced, or something in me did, and it is happening. And I'm just observing, even listening to you saying that, it makes a lot of sense, of course. I mean, to the
Yeah.
intellect.
This is why, we've had such great results um, with our wellness program and our coaching program. So I coach people individually through this process. And in 40 days, in under 40 days, we reset their hormones. So someone goes back to being a fat burner. Now I'm bringing this up because
Yeah.
one of the first things we do is make sure we dispel any fantasies. Okay. So let's
Mm.
look at it like this. Fantasy is perception of more good than bad. Nightmare, perception more bad than good. The more someone holds a fantasy, the more they attract the nightmare.
Ah.
The more I believe that I'm going to, and this is why when first someone comes in and want to lose weight, we want to immediately dispel the fantasy of losing weight. So what's the fantasy? Fantasy is, "Oh, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to feel good. It's going to be easy. It's going to
Mm.
be an easy process." So the first thing you do is go, "No, this is going to be a living hell. The 40 days are going to be a living hell. I'm having you remove sugar. I'm having you remove alcohol. You're going to be facing your emotions. It's a living fucking hell." Sorry for the
Mm.
language.
Yeah.
It's important because if someone has a fantasy about my program, they will eventually go through a nightmare. But if we actually dispel it right in the beginning, we bring it back into equilibrium. That's what this is about. They go,
Ah.
"Okay, wait a minute. Okay,
Mm.
I get it. Going through your program, losing weight is going to be just as painful as not losing." Yes, true. And so at that point, that's why people have such great results because they don't go through a polarity swing. When people are sold something and they're told them it's going to be so amazing, you're gonna feel so much better. That's a fantasy. So I love immediately to point out where they're not going to feel better. If you release the fantasy, you don't attract the nightmare. Does that make sense?
It does, very much does. Fantasy illusions. Yes, absolutely. And one of them, for me, it has been the one that has, it was a huge shock. It's when I realized through meditation and my studies and what has to do with knowledge that I'm not, I mean, essentially, we are not the body mind. So that's a lower reality. So that kind of already took a lot of that pressure of looking in a certain way, even being healthy and all that. Everything it was dropped, and I remember gaining weight and just not. It just so at peace and harmony, as you say. Come into that balance because I was not trying too hard. I was not trying actually to be
Mhm.
in a certain way. So it's like almost finding that balance, that harmony that you speak of. But let's talk about your book, Four Secrets to Healthy Weight Loss. Would you go through the, I know we don't want to disclose everything here.
No, that's good, of course. There's so much content. The book is actually, only 100 pages, but it's so content rich. There's no
Yes.
fluff. So, yeah, there's 4 secrets. Let's
Yes.
just do the 4. Number 1, first secret is you must determine the type of weight loss you want. Most people are losing weight the wrong way, and I want really women to hear this. Women primarily, it's for men as well. You cannot starve yourself and lose the right kind of weight.
Mm,
Fasting is one of the worst ways to lose weight. I want people to hear this. Do you know how many hundreds of initial consultations I do where someone tell me they're fasting
yeah.
and they're 30 pounds overweight?
Yeah.
When you starve yourself of calories, you will definitely lose weight, but you lose the wrong type of weight. So you have muscle, water, and fat. So if you want to lose the right type of weight, you got to stop reducing calories beyond your expenditure. There's a mechanism in your brain called the anti-starvation mechanism. When you reduce your calories, when you miss a meal, when you skip a meal, your brain tells your body to store fat. In other words, it tells you to get fatter. It
Yeah.
doesn't tell you to let go of the fat. It tells you to get fatter. That's why there's a lot of fat people starving themselves right now. And so we make sure that number 1, someone stops starving themselves. We make sure people put the right amount of calories in. It is a complete fantasy and fallacy that you can starve yourself and get healthy.
Gosh, that's a big one. Yes.
It's a big one, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is. Yeah, that's something that I stopped a long time ago. No diets.
Good.
Um, yeah, and this, but I eat twice a day though. I just have breakfast very late. So I kind of fast naturally because I sleep very late and I wake up late. So kind of naturally, I don't eat for about 14, 17 hours. And that I guess it helps because I don't really gain weight easily.
Remember, when you're using the word weight, we gotta make sure this is the whole point of the first secret. People throw the word weight around. You
Yeah.
have water, fat, and
Mm,
muscle.
yeah.
What I will tell you is when people fast, they burn muscle.
Ah.
Fasting doesn't burn fat, and fat is the only type of weight that you wanna lose. So that's why it's very important to someone to understand that.
Well, intuitively I knew that, but not this
Yeah,
way. Yeah.
yeah.
Ah, right. Oh, hopefully I'm not losing too much muscle. Well, I work out not with the intention to look big, but it automatically, I guess, genetics play a part of that too. And then you just look in a certain way. But and then you talked about there's something else that you talked about that caught my attention. Yeah, was the secret one is determine the type of weight loss you want. So 5 reasons to avoid caloric reduction. You have been talking about.
It's here, the 5 reasons? Yeah,
Yes.
you're talking about the first. So, reducing your calories beyond your expenditure slows your metabolism.
Yeah.
That is one of the worst things you can do. You don't wanna slow metabolism. Women have been hypnotized into thinking that somehow having less metabolism is a good thing. No. No, no, stop it. You must be hungry. Men and women have been told that hunger is somehow a negative thing. That's God's mechanism to tell you you need more food. Do
Right.
not override your hunger mechanism. So that's number
Mm.
1.
Mm.
Caloric reduction causes fatigue and nutrient deficiencies. I've got studies and research in here that show people this. Um, Caloric reduction actually creates early bone loss. So people think that fasting is somehow a good thing. No, it's not. Your calories. Understand this. Calories have been made a negative thing. Calories are a measurement, a unit of energy. With every biological process you have and movement you make and conversation you have, you're burning energy.
Mm. Yeah.
If you want to keep burning energy, you've got to keep replenishing calories. Calories is the measurement of unit of amount of heat energy. So that's like you saying, if someone wants to drive to, across the country, they should do it with half a tank of gas. No,
Yeah,
you'd have a full tank of gas.
yeah,
So stop, starving yourself of the gas you need. So, and then I think that's 4. And then another one is, research shows that you have an increased risk of infection and illness with fasting. It's actually quite the opposite. When you reduce your calories beyond your expenditure because of nutrient deficiencies of vital calories your body needs, it must dig in. It tries to dig into its own storages, but yeah. So that's probably enough for that one, I think.
yeah. It makes a lot of sense to me. So I would love to hear a bit more about the idea of fasting. What is like what constitutes really fasting scientifically? What would that be?
Well, I'll tell you what I tell people not to do. Don't override your hunger mechanism.
Yeah, yeah.
If you want to be healthy, even if we remove weight loss, God gave you an innate wisdom to know when you need food.
Mm,
Listen to that wisdom. Most people don't know when that is. So in the 40 days, one of the things we do in our this is important to understand, in the second secret here is determining what type of way of basically burner you are.
yeah, I see that.
And you can be a fat burner or you can be a sugar burner.
Right.
If you're a fat burner, you sleep fantastic. You have amazing amounts of energy. Your emotions are pretty balanced. You deal with stress very well. You have high levels of energy. I'm 45. I have high levels of energy I did when I was 25. If you're a sugar burner, if you may have problems sleeping, digestive issues, arthritis, joint pains, you're starting to get sluggish and you're blaming age. There's the list goes on. So we actually, if you're doing a weight loss program and it does not reset your hormones, you're wasting your time. So
Ah,
we actually spend time in 40 days. It takes 40 days in our program to switch someone from being a sugar burner back to a fat burner.
yeah.
Now, why would you want to be a fat burner? Fat is the healthiest fuel source for the human body. Your brain operates at its highest and fastest capacity when you burn fat as a fuel source. Cancers do not use fat to metastasize. When someone's a sugar burner,
Yeah.
the brain is slow. They feel fatigued. There's more emotional imbalances.
Ah,
If there's cancerous cells, it'll utilize that sugar to metastasize. There's many reasons for being a fat burner, but besides losing weight, it's very important people understand they've got to reset their hormones to becoming a fat burner. And that's the goal of our program.
oh wow, it sounds amazing. I know hormones are key, right? They are super important when it comes to
Yeah.
health, overall health, mental health too. So it's good that you mentioned brain health, but I connect that to mental health, emotional health, right? Now I'm curious about how to become a fat burner. Does it have to do with what is the technique? Would you say diet? I mean, change the way we eat, basically.
We do have people eat a certain way, but we remove all sugar. You must remove all sugar and all alcohol
Wow.
because the problem is that you've become a sugar burner.
Yeah.
100% of people when they start the program, their body's using sugar, so you got to remove it for 40 days. We use an herbal supplement that is our proprietary. We created it.
Yeah.
That supplement tells the hypothalamus to go back to what it did when you were born. When you were born, you were a fat burner. This is what God intended you to be. That supplement allows you to go back to being a fat burner, and it basically moves away from burning sugar as a fuel source. So we do that in 40 days with that.
Wow, that sounds fantastic. Talk to me a bit more about that. I know it has to do with the secret three, resetting your hormones. I read
Yeah,
about
true.
HCG method, the conventional method, and then your method, which my husband was interested. I talked to you off record about
Yeah,
that. He became
yeah,
very interested. So talk to
sure.
me about it for a moment.
So HCG stands for human chorionic gonadotropin. It's a pregnancy hormone. Many, many years ago, they found that if they injected people with this pregnancy hormone, they'd burn fat like crazy.
Wow.
And so that's what they did. They take HCG out and they inject it. So it was about $4,000 or $5,000. There was one big problem with it. Just like most pharmaceuticals and just like most weight loss gimmicks, there's a huge side effect. when you start using medications for weight loss.
Yeah.
And the side effect was people got cancer.
Oh.
It was banned by the FDA multiple times, and yet people are still getting it. So I know someone's wife who got cancer from doing HCG, breast cancer, survived. And that's initially how we even created this program. We said, we're going to create something that's actually healthy to do the same exact thing as HCG. So if that's what it does, it literally allows your body, and HCG switched your body back to
Yeah.
being a fat burner. That's exactly what it does.
Wow. Is it, and it is something that we can use long term, Cody?
For what, when you switch your hormones back to being a fat burner, there's no purpose of taking
Uh,
something that you've already created a permanent change for. So no, yeah, we don't have people redoing it because it's a permanent change.
how long does it take usually to
40 days
40 days? Wow.
reset hormones. Yeah. Now
That's
someone can
amazing.
reset. You can easily reset your body back to being a sugar burner.
Wow.
Just go right back to eating. Go back to the Starbucks drinks and pumping sugar in the drinks. Go back to eating sweet cakes and pastas and alcohol. You can certainly reset your body back.
Mm. This is wow. This is interesting for me to hear because it seems like my body doesn't do well. I just want to hear from you if there's such a thing as body types, and then we are perhaps different. I don't know. I don't feel. I tried to go on a fat diet, protein, fats, healthy fats, but I didn't do well. My energy level actually dropped, and I was like sleeping well and all that. It seems like my hormones just went out of whack for that reason. And I tried it again, and it happened again. And then when I eat, and I don't eat brown rice, I don't eat sugar, I don't eat white rice. That really affects me right away. But I don't restrict myself that much, though. I mean, my diet's very healthy, but it's not. I have pasta once in a while, once a week, and I feel like I need it. So is that something that would you say that this is abnormal, or it could happen? Actually, could happen. Some people might be different.
Okay. So when you're just eating, you're just eating protein and fat.
And
If
vegetables.
And vegetables, okay. So
Yes.
that's fine, but you remember how you just told me, you gave me a little clue. You said you eat pasta once a week,
Yes.
and you
Yes.
said you think you need that?
Yeah, I feel like I get more. Of course, the sugar, right? The sugar burst. I get the energy, and it feels
It
good.
means you're addicted to sugar. Your body's using sugar as a
Ah,
fuel source. So
right,
sugar is
right.
not okay, so let's break this down.
Mm,
So pasta breaks down is a simple carbohydrate, which breaks down into sugars. Sugar releases a chemical in your brain called dopamine, which gives you the false sense of pleasure to makes you feel like you did something good for your body.
mm,
Okay.
mm.
Well, you do need carbohydrates. It's not that you don't need carbohydrates, but well, I just want to identify this. So, no, I've never had someone experience this on my program. But I also want you to understand that our program is actually doing something to switch your hormones. When you were doing what you're doing, you weren't doing anything to change the hormones. You were just changing your diet.
Right.
And so it's important to understand. I have most people when they work with me, they've done paleo, keto, Atkins. I mean, the list goes on.
Yes, I can imagine.
So I've heard this from many people, Valeria. I was like, "Hey, I've
Yes.
done this and it didn't work." So to answer your question, I've not experienced that with my program
Yeah.
because we cover the basis for all body types. So that's number one. Number two is it doesn't seem to me like you're actually changing your hormones. That's number two. And number three, if you weren't actually changing your hormones, your body was actually going through quite a bit of sugar withdrawal. Meaning, if you pulled sugar away, you
Yeah.
got to have someone. I coach people through sugar withdrawal. It's quite terrible. It's quite terrible. Sugar uses the same receptors in the brain as cocaine. Now, I don't know if that's what happened with you. I'm just kind of just telling you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fat and protein is great, and so are vegetables. And if you have extra fat on your body, there's a reason your body's not recognizing it. So if you're putting fat in your mouth, you didn't give your body any reason to burn the fat off of you.
Gosh. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. Of course, what I did has nothing to do what you're doing because we didn't work together. That was not
No, sure,
something
sure, sure.
I
But
just
just
did
yeah,
some independently, and then you just clarifying that this is not what you do. So you became an expert of this. You're really going deeper into it and analyzing from all angles, and you probably have done to yourself, and then so many clients, so many people around you. So that's really amazing to me.
and Valeria, let me say too, For 40 days, we have people
Yeah.
remove all fats.
Gosh, yeah, I saw some of the pictures. I was impressed by it.
We have
Uh,
people no, we have people remove fat, so they don't eat any fat.
oh, they don't eat any fat, not fats
No,
from
no
the
eating fat
bodies, but yeah.
because they have 10 to 20 pounds of fat. They have God's most amazing fuel source
Mm.
sitting on their body. If you put fat in your mouth, there's no reason for that fat to be burnt off.
Ah, that's a good point. Gosh, this is like, yeah, it's very, let's say specific. This is something that
Yeah,
you do
yeah.
that, right, that's so unique. You need to, it's almost like you have to want to do this because you mentioned addiction. That is a, we're all addicted to something. And, a lot of people are addicted to their own thoughts, their own ideas of what life is and all that. In religion comes to mind. But when it comes to the body, as you say, yeah, sugar, dopamine, right, it makes me feel good and the body feels good in the mind when I eat the pasta, and then I go back to it. Not often, of course, because I'm aware of how bad it is to have your insulin out of balance, just all over the place throughout the day. So, but it's not really because it's not my main goal. I'm not as focused, but my husband is. He really loves this idea, so he'll probably talk to you about this on
Hmm.
how to how to use the HCG alternative, the natural way. He will definitely wanted to talk to you about this. So let's talk about the one that interested me the most. It was the secret for emotional rewire. So what are the main principles? I know you listed lots of steps, and I have all of them here, the 6 steps as well. But what is the main principle behind rewiring our emotions, Cody?
The main principle here is polarizations are the reason for such big swings in our lives.
Yeah.
So here's an example. Um, there's an example in the book that I give of a woman who's gained weight and she's been through all these weight loss programs and then they're not working.
Yeah.
And she does her weight loss program. She loses weight, but she starts realizing it stopped. She starts gaining weight back, which I wasn't used to seeing. And we sat down and had a conversation. And she was abused when
Mm,
she by a male family member when she was a kid. And so that little mind, that little girl inside decided that if I can put on fat, I can protect myself
yeah.
and I avoid male attention.
Yeah.
So it's important because if you're trying to lose weight and losing weight means men are going to now give you attention, losing weight now has a negative connotation. So I use that example because the emotional rewire has to do with negative and positive charges and what out of bounds perception has created in your life.
Yeah.
So she's associated. So we had actually released the charge as from attention from men being negative. We actually went and found the positives of attention from men, right?
Yeah.
Until we released that, she wasn't allowed, she couldn't release the rest of the weight. There's no amount of diet under the sun that will change that. And so that's why this is what we do. This is a doctor supervised program. I work with every single person through this because the emotions are going to come up and the past concepts and even charges of what we've gone through in the past are going to come up.
Yes. Wow. This is yeah, that's a huge topic. And that makes a lot of sense that you would include that here. And I know you work with Donna Parker, and she's a
Yeah.
therapist, right? She's a counselor. So she's the co author of the book, too. And you mentioned that she helped you kind of analyzing,
Oh yeah.
helping this client specifically. I remember this in the book. Yeah,
Yeah.
that totally makes sense. I love the quote that you have there from Buddha.
Yeah.
That caught my attention immediately. The secret of health for both mind and body is not to mourn the past, not to worry about the future, or not to anticipate troubles, but to live in the present moment wisely and earnestly. Yes. Yeah, that's really to me the key, right? To be present to what is present, to be here now, not to let go of that. But it's easier said than done. The mind, it's constantly everywhere. Do you also teach or suggest that your clients meditate?
No, I do something very different than meditation. I've meditated for years, and this was something I was going to bring up with you.
Yeah.
We actually have people sit in energy, which is not meditation. Meditation takes people outside of feeling energy. I want to do the opposite with people. Many times I'd meditated for years, and all it did was avoid me from feeling what was really there. So
Yeah.
we put people right smack in the middle of feelings. For example, when someone's got to remove sugar in the first week, let's say you come to that day that you want to have pasta.
Yes, I
I
love
recommend for you,
that.
Valeria, I would actually, yeah, if you were my client, I was working with you,
Yeah.
I would actually have you sit in the emotional pain of not having the pasta,
Yes.
because the only reason you're having the pasta is to avoid feeling pain. But if you allow yourself to feel pain,
Ah,
and then you start realizing, "Oh my god, I just felt the pain," there's no reason to have the pasta because 'cause you're not trying to avoid the pain.
yeah. Gosh, that makes sense. Now I wonder what kind of pain is that? Of course, yeah. I have been talking on this podcast for a while about what kinds of pain. I think it's isn't it? I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that's what this reality basically is all about, the shared reality of the human experience. Isn't it about avoiding pain and searching for pleasure? We are, and I don't think it's basically that's what we mired. That's the world we live, basically. The mind, that's where the mind lives in. And then we have those gaps, of joy, of, I don't know, peace, but they are gaps. They're not, we cannot really live in that space. So yes, of course, pain, it's something that is it's constantly here. When I heard about this war happening between Israel and Palestine, I mean, immediately the heart just closed, and you want to, I mean, it's just a horrible feeling. It's a painful feeling. It's pain, it's sadness. So how do we avoid, do we really want to avoid those kinds of pain that has to do with feeling the pain of others, empathy? I don't know, Cody.
So, it's important to understand the neural network of your brain. You have many parts of your brain. There's a part of the brain called the amygdala.
Yeah.
It's inherited over from animals, and the animal consciousness was wired to avoid pain and chase pleasure. This was survival.
Yeah.
Since then, we've had many advancements in the brain. Every human being has the innate ability, an innate drive to avoid pain and chase pleasure. But also, every human being now has what's called a frontal lobe. It's the higher advanced brain centers, which can override that. So, avoiding pain and chasing pleasure is like saying, I want to have a good life. It's false. You can't do it. You
Yeah.
cannot avoid pain and chase pleasure. It's a never ending rhythmic conversation between you and source if you go that path. You can't avoid enough pain and chase pleasure. So I guide people in both my weight loss and coaching programs to actually dive in the middle of what they're calling pain,
Yeah.
because what your mind is
uh,
calling pain is not what you think it is. The things you think that are happening are not what's happening. The for every when you talked about the love and transcendental and peace is only the polarity of war. Peace is not neutrality.
mm,
That's a polarity. So the more we seek pleasure and avoid pain, the harsher these swings get in our lives. So the more you realize, and first of all, number one, you're able to sit in both pleasure and pain. This is I'm not telling you how to do this, but I have a whole process of this. This is a process that I've not been I don't know any books that teach people how to do this. I'm not talking about meditation. Meditation takes you out of pain. I'm telling you to go into pain. The more you go in, the more you start
mm,
hearing the universal frequencies. The
yeah.
more you start hearing how judged pain has been. The more you start hearing, the more you go into your darkness and depth of what you think is so bad,
Yeah.
the more you start hearing God. God is within the things that you think are so bad. It's not within just the good. If you're avoiding bad and negative, you're avoiding half of God. So it's important when I the simplicity of this is to when someone sits and feels the absence of not having sugar, you watch as they become released and they go, "Oh my god, that was so amazing. What just happened?" And they go, "You just overrode your amygdala. You
Yeah.
just overrode your million-year-old animal wiring of avoiding pain and chasing pleasure." That's what I'm showing people to do. It's a doing this process that brings you into your frontal lobe. Love And happiness and fulfillment do not come from chasing pain and avoiding pleasure, but they do come from going through and allowing pain and pleasure to be a part and fully adopting and acknowledging that they're there and being it. Once you become something, it doesn't have control over you. Once that occurs, then you can start realizing and you move yourself outside of polarity swings.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, a billion times with that truth. Yes, a billion times. I guess not trying to excuse my habit of eating pasta every Friday.
Fine,
uh,
it's fine. Don't do it.
yeah,
No.
it seems like I don't know, Cody. It's not really trying to. Actually, the thought's not there, and I know it's very much in the subconscious, so I'm not even aware of it. But it's not really trying to avoid almost anything. Just go, I feel like doing this, and then I do it. Of course, there's I have a lot of guiding principles, so it's always taking me into places that are actually beautiful, and I have beautiful experiences every day. So it's not really trying to wreck my world. So yeah, and I'm not trying. No, it has nothing to do with the program. I love what you do. It's just beautiful. This, the going deeper. I love that you go deeper into what's happening, why the body is responding the way it is by gaining weight, which it's not healthy. I mean, it just gets in the way of our clarity. For sure, it gets in the way. So in my case, it's in my husband's too. We just like them having these habits, almost like a ritual thing. Every Friday, let's have a seafood, pasta, and then it feels really good. And then we have a glass of wine, and then it feels great.
Dopamine does feel good. Dopamine will always feel good.
Yes, yes,
So don't trick yourself into thinking dopamine is the chemicals being released, is a chemically induced high.
yes.
We're drug addicts.
Ah,
So it's a drug you're releasing to your brain. And yes, it feels good. No one will deny that. What I'm saying is sit in the pain of not having it and then decide whether or not you want it or not. But let yourself sit without having it. Alcohol, same thing. Alcohol, sit in the pain of not having it. People have convinced themselves that alcohol somehow relaxes them. When you look at every biomarker, every freaking physiological marker in your body increases and it gets more stress with alcohol, not less.
yeah.
It is a fallacy, you're relaxing yourself. So if
Ah,
you're having alcohol, not you, but someone's having alcohol to relax themselves, you're lying to yourself. And the alcohol is actually getting you to make you think that you're actually relaxed. You're actually stressing yourself out. That's why you feel like shit the next day. So I'm not saying these things are wrong. I'm saying if you can literally sit and feel the guidance, are you actually feeling guidance or are you feeling an addiction to dopamine or a chemical release?
yeah, that question has to. I think. What do you think? Like having something like that once a week, is that relates to? It also relates to addiction. Of course, I could not have it. I don't think that would make a difference if
Right.
my husband says, "Oh, we're not having pasta this Friday." I don't think I would create any issues with that. Of course not. I don't create issues with anything, so I don't. I just stay there. It's okay, and then I'll eat something else. What I usually do when he says anything, we're gonna eat whatever it is. He's the cook, by the way. So he whatever he does, I
Wow.
just whatever he buys, I just eat. Thank God
Yeah.
he's healthy
Yeah.
oriented. So, but yes, I could say no to all of those things. That's not a. But the body does respond to it in an interesting way, and I have observed that when I eat pasta, the body feels happy. I sleep better, and I guess the mind's paying attention to it. But it's not something that I had. It's something that I have to have.
You might simply just need some complex carbohydrates because if you're a
Um,
really active
yeah.
person, what I would do is that night you're doing a pasta, I would just one night, once you guys get a sweet potato, have your husband cut up a sweet potato, cut
Yeah.
it up into fries, and see if you have the same reaction.
Yes.
Because yeah, by the way, we need sugars. It's not about it's just the answer to the question is in the doing of what I'm saying. If you have the desire to have candy or sugar or pasta, whatever, just sit in the moment of the energy of not having.
Mm.
At the end of doing that, you'll have your answer as to whether or not you should or shouldn't. That so it doesn't make it right or wrong. You go, "Oh, no, I'm good. I can feel this. Okay, good. I'm not doing it to feel better. Ah, okay, good. I know that, right?"
Yes. So yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. That's a very good suggestion. Right. Where was at the end, Cody? But let me see. Emotional rewire. That caught my attention so much that I had questions here. Yeah, you talk about addiction there. Addiction to food is actually a brilliant protection strategy of our brain. That caught my attention. That comment you made, and then the steps you had the 6 steps to go through the emotional rewire, and you mentioned all of them. The first one is determine their highest people's highest life priorities. That caught my attention. You say living a fulfilling life in all areas is also a key component in permanent weight loss. I love that because now we are looking deeper into the idea, the sense of purpose and meaning and all that. So
Yep.
talk to me for a moment about that, if you don't mind.
In the book, and actually this quiz will be done. You'll see there's a link in the book.
Yeah.
And they have an official link that'll be in there in about a week. We're in all the new reprints.
Yes.
But we have a quiz that someone can take to determine their highest life priorities. 99% of people have no clue what their highest life priorities are. People go, "Oh, my priority is to have fun and to be happy and to be honest." Nope. Those are not priorities. Those are socially injected norms.
Mm.
So it's very important you determine your highest life priorities because people are happiest in their relationship and in their job, in their career when their highest life priorities are supported. I'll just say it like that.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. And we have a link. I know you had a link there when I went there, but it didn't go to
Oh,
the.
okay. Yeah, we're basic. There were videos, but now it's gonna be an official quiz. So
Yes. Yeah. Let me know, Cody, so I can update the page,
yeah,
the
yeah, and I'll
podcast with
change it
you.
in the book exactly. So sorry about that. You got in between.
No, it's okay. So it's good that I mentioned here. So we're most at the end. I have so many papers in front of me, like I don't even know which one to get, the final
Yeah,
one. So I guess something that caught my attention in the end, the very end of the book, you say live a life true to yourself, and you mentioned this book, which is the top 5 regrets of dying by
yeah,
Bonnie Ware, I think her name is.
yeah.
So yeah, I have read the book, so I'm very familiar with that, and I love that message. So a life that's true to you, and then of course I have to say, in order to find that, we need to know what we are, right? Or how some people like say who we are. That self knowledge is very important. Would you agree, Cody?
Oh yes, yeah. The self knowledge is very important for sure, and that's why I put that chapter in there, um, because my purpose on here on this planet is to ignite and inspire people to their highest potential.
Yeah,
The very first place to do that is with your health. I used to start with people on the spiritual side,
yeah,
and then now I believe it's not the place for me to start because when your body is suffering,
yeah.
very challenging for to reach states of spirituality that you
Mm.
want. You cannot. You're just trying to survive. When you're trying to survive, you're not seeking God or universal principles.
Yes, good point. Sometimes it becomes a catalyst, right, for spiritual
Yeah,
awakening or
true, true.
consciousness expansion. It has been my case. So let's see the ending question. I guess I'm going to ask you this question. It's a big question, but you might make it very simple. What do
Yeah.
you feel? What do you feel is the purpose of the human experience?
I want to tell you that by giving you a perspective. Imagine that we are in a place outside of time and space. Can your mind imagine no time?
Mm,
The moment I ask you that, it has no reference. So there's no past, there's no future, there's no
yeah,
present.
yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you for your mind to imagine no space. Very challenging for the mind to do that. Your
Yeah,
thoughts are rooted in this time space reality.
yeah.
So, in order to understand this question, you must understand a place and a time with no time and place.
Mm, yeah.
So, if you bring yourself there and then you decide there's nothingness. Now, people are infatuated with experiencing nothingness, but your mind will break without experiencing nothingness. You remove time and space, you reach levels of insanity that
Right,
put people in hospitals and homes. Okay.
right.
So why come here and do this? It's important. So many people are trying to get to spirituality. And it's really funny because the place that you came from did not have the amazing things that are here. There was no time and space. The juicy experience is here, not there. Stop trying to get to God. God is trying to get you to have the experience here. So this is where the juiciness is right here.
Yes. Ah, yes. Yeah, beautifully said. Wow. Yeah, never heard it that way. Beautiful. Yes. What else? I have to end here because let's leave with that. It's just so amazing. Thank you so much for sharing timeless wisdom, though. That's what I call what
Oh,
you
that's
just
cool.
spoke of.
Yeah.
It's truly beautiful. Thank you so much for what you do, for putting yourself out there the way you are, trying to, like a scientist of the soul. Yeah, trying to find the truth and exposing that idea what the truth is. I mean, it's truly truly beautiful. If there's one more question that I would ask, which I have to, is within that experience of being a human and embracing that, what would you call freedom?
So your question, in the human experience, what's called freedom?
Yeah.
Okay, here's how I want to answer this. In this human experience, that word offers a polarity. Freedom is a polarity of not free.
Mm,
So neither of them, I'm not after freedom or non-freedom because it puts you back into the illusion of freedom and the illusion of non-freedom. So what I'm after is what's in between.
mm,
And what's in between is really challenging for the mind to grasp. So I don't use my mind many times to grasp these concepts. And if someone's listening, and I know you can too, Valeria, I can feel this with you, but you have a capacity to feel and think without your heart and without your mind. And when you can feel and think without heart and mind, you'll be able to hear more and more of what I'm saying. To try to get more of something that is freedom, it only brings you the opposite.
mm.
What I'd like to bring into the word for you is sacred.
Yeah. Mm.
And I'd like to redefine the word sacred. The word sacred meaning void of story and label, specifically void of all stories and labels. And that's who you really are.
It's like I mean, yeah. It's beautiful. What can I say? Gosh, what can I say, Cody? This is amazing. I know you're, yeah, I mean, this is a spiritual, you're like a spiritual teacher to me. Forget about the weight loss. No, I mean, those, we
I
need
know,
that
right?
too. We need
You
that
know,
too. Yeah.
Valeria, we created a while ago. I have many people that I meet. We created a mastermind and love to. If you ever want to be a part of
Uh,
this, we a group of people that love these
yes.
conversations. We meet weekly, so feel free to reach out to me and ask more. Yeah.
I will. I absolutely will. So for now, where's the best place to find more information about you, Cody?
Thank you. So for the weight loss program, go to fast40weightloss.com.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are like, oh my God, I want coaching. So you can go to Dr. Cody Golman, drcodygolman.com. But if you're looking for a community of people that you love the concepts that Valeria and I talked about, and
Yeah.
we had a great connection. Thank you for having me on. You're
Oh my
such a
God.
great woman.
Thank you.
We created what's called the Quantum Life Mastermind,
Yeah.
and that's a group of people we meet weekly on Zoom, and sometimes we do retreats.
Yeah.
It's nice to be surrounded with these ideas, not just have one or two conversations. So that's how you can find me. And go on Amazon and find the 4 Secrets to Healthy Weight Loss. That's another good spot.
Yes, wonderful. I'll have all those links on the interview profile when it's
Thank you.
released. Thank you so much again for your presence, Cody. Your beautiful presence. Thank you. Bye for
Yes,
now.
I'm a mirror of you. Thank you.